Thanks for having me here today. My name is Sam Cobb. I'm the CEO and Managing Director of AdAlta. AdAlta is a biotechnology company developing its iBody platform. As well as that, we're developing our lead candidate, AD214, for the treatment of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So fibrosis is essentially scarring. So if you cut yourself, you would get some inflammation, a red area, and you would also get a build-up of a protein called collagen. So those two things are essentially what happens in idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, so fibrosis of the lungs. And in that disease in particular, you get a build-up of collagen and the lungs stiffen and you cannot breathe anymore. There's a significant unmet medical need in this space, and we're taking AD214 through to the end of phase 1, which in fibrosis is a major value inflection point, and we see a lot of transactions and deals happen at that space. So AdAlta is taking its lead candidate through to that major point. We have orphan drug designation for AD214, and that provides, as well as our partners, an opportunity to fast track this in the US. We're also developing a pipeline of iBodies for other indications, and we have an experienced team with a strong track record in this area. Our code is 1AD. Our share price today is 35 cents, and our market cap about 35 million. We have on issue about 100 million shares, and of those, 65% roughly are held by institutional investors. So UR Capital, being the main investor, was a private investor before AdAlta listed in August 2016. In the IPO, we had Platinum Asset Management also come on board, and National Nominees, which is private portfolio managers. So over the last 12 months, our share price has gone from 20 cents up to 40 cents. At the end of the March quarter, we had 3.6 million in cash. So the top 20 shareholders of AdAlta hold about 83%, including those institutional investors, as well as a number of high net worths. The board and management have about 3.46% in options and shares. The board consists of myself as the founding CEO of the company. So my background is in science and also in technology commercialisation. So I started out in the lab, worked in a diagnostic company for a number of years, and then moved from there to the University of Queensland, where I was involved in commercialising technologies. So I spent considerable time selling technologies from a university and then getting money into the university as well. So as the founding CEO of AdAlta, I've seen it go through various stages from listing and private venture capital right back through to angel investment. Our chairman is Paul McClellan. He was the CEO of IDT, has extensive experience with antibodies. Robert Peach was the founding CSO of Receptos. Receptos was sold to Celgene a few years ago for US 7.8 billion. Robert also has extensive experience with FC fusions. John Chiplin was the CEO of another antibody company called Arana Therapeutics, which was sold for US 200 million to Cephalon. And then James Williams and Lydia McCall represent our major investors, UR Capital. So in terms of our scientific advisory board, Mick Foley is our Chief Scientific Officer. Mick has extensive experience with the iBody platform, but also in phage display. He's joined by a number of highly regarded and very experienced experts, including Brian Richardson and John Westwick, who both are ex-Novartis. So Brian was head of R&D at Novartis, and John was head of pulmonary drug discovery. Those guys together have developed 5+ drugs that are currently on the market and over 20 that are currently in the clinic. Steve Felstead and David McGibney are both ex-Pfizer. Steve was a clinician, head of cardiology, and then David McGibney, he was head of the Pfizer sandwich plant. And earlier this year, Housie Cocker joined us as a manufacturing expert on our board, scientific advisory board. In terms of the focus of the company with our lead candidate AD214, we're looking at a disease called idiopathic or unexplainable pulmonary fibrosis. It affects about 300,000 people in the world. There are 2 available drugs, pirfenidone and nintedanib. About 30% of patients respond to those drugs. They have massive side effects. And if you're diagnosed with this disease, approximately 50% of all sufferers will die within 2 to 3 years of being diagnosed. Every year there's 40,000 people in the world that die of IPF. So a significant unmet medical need in this space with with an opportunity for new drugs. At the moment, pirfenidone and nintedanib are a $1 billion market opportunity for pharma. So AD214 is our lead candidate. In April this year, we announced that we'd moved to a new molecule called AD214. It's essentially 2 iBodies of 114 on the front end, and then at the back end we have a molecule called an FC fragment. This extends the half-life of this molecule, and the front end the iBody actually has the activity. And so you see in this slide the activity of this molecule, where in a normal lung you see a lot of open holes. In the middle you see the build-up of that collagen protein, and on the far left-hand side you see a picture of the diseased lung treated with our iBody. So significant reduction in collagen, significant reduction in inflammatory readouts as well. IPF, there's a considerable global need for a new drug, and new opportunities are being acquired in this space. We see a lot of assets being acquired at a very early stage in terms of drug development, with the last 2 drugs being acquired at the end of phase 1. So the average upfront payment of these deals is around 100 million, and plus milestones of between 400 and 500 million. So you see a significant interest from pharma in this space at a very, very early stage. More recently, we've seen a couple of phase 2 readouts in this area. Fibrogen being one, did a phase 2B study, saw their market cap increase by about $1 billion. This was on the back of a 12-month data with 100 patients. Galapagos, around the same time, published data for 17 patients with a phase 2A study and saw their market cap increase by $500 million. Over the last 12 months, we've really shown that AD214 has broad anti-fibrotic application. So we've looked at this molecule in several animal models as well as human tissue. So in the lung, we've recently published this data. We published it in a journal called Nature Scientific Reports, which is very highly regarded. We see in that publication some of the both animal model and human tissue data showing that our drug is better than those 2 existing products. In the eye, there's a disease called age-related macular degeneration. Again, 30% of people don't respond to the existing treatments, and within 2 or 3 years, 50% of people go blind on the current treatment. So a real need, and we've shown that we have an anti-fibrotic effect in those animal models. In the liver, you have a disease called cirrhosis or fibrosis of the liver. In the kidney, you have chronic kidney disease, and we've shown in multiple animal models that we have an effect in all of these indications. So collectively, there's a huge unmet medical need in all of these indications, and our drug has been demonstrated to have an effect. So the key milestones for AD214 over the next 12 months will be focused on manufacturing. We announced about a month ago that we'd signed an agreement with Celexis and KBI. This was after an extensive tender process with about 12 different contract manufacturers. We signed up with KBI and Celexis because of their experience with the FC fusion types of molecules. So some interim readouts in terms of manufacturing will be yields. We'll see a yield readout in the next 3 or 4 months. In parallel to that, we'll be doing some dosing and PK studies or pharmacokinetic studies in non-human primates and looking at how that new version of 8214 behaves in a non-human primate. In the second half of 2019, we'll be doing our 4-week toxicology studies. So this is injecting 8214 at multiple doses in non-human primates. And then in the first half of 2020, looking at the phase 1 study. So looking at human male volunteers that are healthy and testing single ascending dose and then multiple ascending doses. So at the end of that phase 1, we'll be looking to either partner this product or take it through to a small phase 2 study. In parallel to all of these studies, we'll be publishing the data with our lead candidate in those multiple models, and also developing a pipeline of iBodies with our platform. So AdAlta's business model is really around taking this novel platform called the iBody and partnering it with both pharmaceutical companies and also developing an in-house pipeline. We're doing that with 8214, taking it through to a major value inflection point and then licensing it. So our goal is to build both external partnerships and internal pipeline. So we see the company really operating in 3 major areas. So the first being the partnering of 8214, where you see upfront deals with 100 million upfront and between 400 and 500 million in milestone payments. Next generation antibodies, you see these types of companies doing deals where they receive upfront R&D from Big Pharma, and our closest competitor being Ablinks was acquired earlier this year in February for 3.9 billion euros by Sanofi. So you see deals happening in that space where companies come and fund research to identify new drugs. And then one of the key advantages of the iBody platform is its long loop, and then that long loop being able to get into these difficult to access targets, which are a group of those are called GPCRs or G protein coupled receptors. And so we see in that area again a number of deals and transactions happening. Receptos, Robert Peach's company, being acquired for a single asset at phase 3, but Heptares, a company with one phase 1 asset and a pipeline of products to GPCRs, being acquired for about 400 million. So over the last 12 months, we've had significant achievements. We got the orphan drug designation with our lead candidate for the treatment of IPF. We completed, as I mentioned, additional preclinical models, really broadening out the application of 8214 and showing that it has application in a number of therapeutic areas. We published our data in a key journal, which is highly regarded, and we've also been presenting this data at a number of conferences. I presented last year at the Idiopathic Pulmonary Fibrosis Summit amongst the big pharma and biotech companies. We have also completed a number of studies showing that 8114 was very, very safe as a molecule and that the platform is safe in non-human primates. We also received the 8214 patent was granted in Australia and continue to look at that in multiple jurisdictions around the world. So in expected news flow over the next 6-12 months will really be around 8214. We will get an expected R&D tax of approximately 2 million in this current quarter. In the next 3 or 4 months, we'll be updating shareholders on the manufacturing and how we're going with Selexis in terms of the yields that we can get with that product, and also looking at publishing the half-life, so how long that iBody lasts in a non-human primate. But publishing also some additional data that we've seen around the half-life of the iBody with multiple technologies. In the first half of 2019, we'll give an update on manufacturing as well as how we're going in terms of manufacturing the materials for the 4-week non-human primate study, and also on the pipeline development. Moving to the second half of 2019 to really complete that major milestone of the non-human primate study, and then in the first half of 2020, the phase 1 study, first in man for the iBody. So in terms of AdAlta, our code is 1AD. In terms of a summary, our focus is on idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. There's a huge unmet medical need here. We have a very first-in-class novel novel iBody candidate called 8214. This molecule has been granted orphan drug designation. We're currently completing manufacturing with this molecule and looking to take it through into the clinic, which is a major milestone and early commercialisation opportunity for the company. We've got a very powerful platform technology sitting behind 8214, which provides the company additional opportunities to broaden out that pipeline, but also partner with Big Pharma at this time. So in terms of that, we have a team able to drive this company forward, and looking forward to making these milestones and letting you know how we go. Thank you.